This week we travel to the city of Oneida. We've visited here a couple times over the years, but places always seem different in the snow. All the snow can't hide Oneida's beautiful architecture, a testament to the wealth of a city made prosperous by its access to early transportation. We visit Oneida's public library and talk with city historian Dave Elverd.
In 1834, the state built a feeder to take water off Oneida Creek up near Oneida Castle to provide for the Oneida Lake Canal down there, Durhamville. That ran pretty much parallel to what's now Main Street. 5 years later, the first railroad was being built from Utica to Syracuse. Sans Higginbotham, who owned most of the land around here, agreed that he would give the railroad a right-of-way if every train that came through would stop for 15 minutes here. So he built a hotel. You know, train travel was a lot more arduous in those days than it is now, and people were glad to get off, or even if it was only for 15 minutes. And then the railroad and the canal gave farmers the opportunity to ship their goods elsewhere. So Oneida developed into a trading and transportation center. And people built stores for the farmers to shop at. And they had to build houses for the people who worked and owned the stores. And also, we started rudimentary industry. We had a tannery that developed early on and a foundry. And the railroad provided opportunities to ship that material out. So by 1848, we had enough of a population here to incorporate as a village. I think there were about 1,000 people here at the time.
We're never ready for life's passing, but we know that the day will come. And even if we think we are prepared,
Oneida was incorporated into a city in 1901. But long before the canals and railroads cut across this land, this was home to the Oneida tribe, one of the original nations of the Iroquois. The Segoe Cultural Center is filled with stories and items from the Oneida people, including the headdresses that identified the different nations.
Our headdresses with the Iroquois are called gastois, and they're made up of turkey feathers and eagle feathers. And the placement of the eagle feathers determines what nation you're from. For instance, Oneida's 2 eagle feathers up and 1 down. The purpose was is a dress, part of our regalia. And when the men would go to meetings, they could tell immediately what nation you were from by your gastoa. Well, a woman with her regalia, when we dress in regalia, she could choose to wear a crown or not. It wasn't a status symbol, and it just makes you feel good as a woman when you put a crown on.
When you visit here, you can see an actual gastoy or several miniature ones, 6 of them, and you can also see some of the crowns that Bertie was referring to that the women wore. And she goes around to schools, or you can bring your class here, and she will then help your students create paper replicas of both.
With much of their land gone by the end of the 1700s, the Oneidas were forced to develop new ways to subsist. They began making wood splint baskets to sell to non-natives.
The Oneida baskets are known for their potato stamp. And they would take a potato and cut it and put it in the die, put it on the basket, and then they would do the artwork, the intricate artwork around. So if you do go to a flea market or whatever and find a basket with this type of design with a potato stamp, you know it's Oneida right away.
About every month, the Segoe Cultural Center features the genealogy of an Oneida family. The display includes pictures and stories from the family's history.
The family being featured right now is the Rockwell family, and their descendants are listed on this board. And I noticed a photograph of one of the members of the family who was known as Chief William Honeyhost Rockwell. What caught my attention is this, that the headdress that he's wearing is not the headdress that is worn by the Oneidas. So when you come here, you can ask them why that is.
The Segoe Cultural Center is open every day from 9 to 5 and is located almost 3 miles south of Route 5 on Route 46.
But one thing stays the same. It's the feeling I get when I look around. It lets me know I'm home. I'm making this valley my home. I'm so proud to call it my home.
The Oneida Daily Dispatch has been around forever. Well, at least for me, it's forever. It's been since 1851. Back then it was called the Oneida Sachem. So I had to talk to the publisher today. His name is Phil Austin, and he told me that the word Sachem originally meant paramount chief among the Algonquins. It's interesting how much the Indian influence is a part of the fabric of our community. Just imagine over the 160 years the stories that have appeared on the pages of this newspaper. Just 1 block from Main Street on Cedar Street is a place called the Commons. Come in here and there are 42 vendors. There's everything here from antiques to jewelry. There's even clothing. And an interesting thing to note, here in Oneida, the tax on clothing is only, believe this now, only 2%.
The Oneida Commons is open daily from 10 to 5 and Sunday 10 to 4. It is located at 157 Cedar Street, just off of Main Street in downtown Oneida.